Fantastic, Ryan. I am so happy to have you here. We're going to have a short discussion about our work together.
Sounds great.
So let's start with a little bit of how we started to work together, because initially, about a year ago, I reached out to you because I was looking for a coach to help grow my business.
Yeah.
And I ended up joining High Performance Coach, HPC as everyone calls it, and had an amazing experience. And then one day I opened my messenger and there was a message from Ryan saying, I had an idea, can we jump on a call? So tell me what was going on when you reached out to me.
Yeah, what was going on? Well, one of the amazing things about the business that I'm in is that I'm surrounded by so many incredible people. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to work with coaches, and they inspire me, but I learn from them. And my life, I'm very happy in my life. I've been very happy for a long time, and so much of my life is incredible. But there was always one part that wasn't quite working, and I worked a lot on it, did a lot of different things. And I had a relationship that basically failed, and at the end of that relationship, I took some time for myself, and I was like, oh, I thought I had it this time. I thought I really nailed it this time. Everything else is great, just this one little piece of my life, and but I had the same result that I've had before. And I learned an incredible amount. It was an incredible learning experience. Like, I really needed that relationship to teach me so much stuff. But here I was, single again, with another failed relationship behind me. And I thought, right, this is one of those times where I have to take my own medicine and my own advice, which is what I tell everybody I meet: hire an expert. And I had worked with many experts, like in the relationship, around communication, in different ways, but I'd never actually worked with somebody just focusing on me regarding my relationship patterns. And so it was like, okay, this sounds like a really smart thing to do, and I'm ready for something, to help, get things realigned, help me see whatever I'm missing, because I'm missing something. Yeah. So I was sharing it with Max, my business partner and friend, and he's like, you should talk to Kelly. I'm like, Kelly who? I mean, Kelly Branley. But Kelly in Mastery. He went, yeah. He's like, she's really great. I was like, oh, okay. And me and him, like, we're like brothers, so we just trust everything that we tell each other. So I'm like, cool. So let me just send Kelly a message now. Kelly, let's hop on a call. So that's where it started.
Cool. Yeah, I remember, I think before that time, we'd maybe had 2 calls together. So we really hadn't had a lot of direct interaction. And so I was quite surprised to get that message.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, because even though I didn't know so much about what you were doing, because we hadn't spent that much time, one thing I did say to Max was, okay, like, yeah, like, I have spent time with Kelly. Like, I really like her energy. Like, I could tell you were on a really good vibe. So that matched, because that also helped me, let me send Kelly a message. So you definitely stood out to me.
Thank you. So when we first started working together, I always take everyone through an assessment process. And, you learn a lot about yourself and those patterns you mentioned. Yeah. So do you remember that assessment? What came out for you, or what were some of the points that stood out?
I mean, it was a few months ago now, so I'm just trying to remember. And it sounds like you probably remember more about the things that stood out. But I mean, for sure, there was a pattern about being so caught up in the physical. I was really caught up in that, and I'd been giving that too much weight, way too much weight. And I guess it's a thing that we go through. I certainly was going through it. Maybe not everybody has to go through it, but I was definitely going through it. And it really showed up in the questions that you'd asked, and like, what was it about this that kept you in there? The physical attraction, I was like, there's a pattern here. Yeah. So that was something I'd been aware of, but to map it all out and to see it, plain as day, it was like, yeah, that doesn't seem quite right. I knew I was missing something, but it was like, what is it? What is it?
We also talked about your attachment style. Do you remember what your attachment style was when we started?
Yeah, I mean, I had it my whole life, so I know it like the back of my hand. It was the anxious attachment style. And I had been familiar with the different styles, but nothing had changed, like reading the books on the attachment theories, I was well versed in all of it. But it hadn't fully transformed by that point. I mean, there'd been major changes in it, but it was at that point, it was still a bit like it could pop up at any time. Yeah.
So how did you experience working together? We worked together privately, one-on-one, so we met weekly.
Yeah.
How did you experience our time together?
Yeah, I loved it. And it was really great to have somebody that knew more than I did regarding the one area of my life that I could never get working. And so I was just like a pig in shit in our conversations, because you really understand the practicalities and the mechanics of healthy relationship dynamics, where I'd never saw that as a kid, and never really experienced it as an adult. So it was just like trial and error, fumble around, fall, get back up, try the next thing, learn a whole bunch of lessons. So there was a lot of progression, but there was real practicalities that I loved getting from you, that was just like, oh, of course. And that's the beauty of working with somebody that knows their stuff. Like, it's so easy for an expert, because this is their field, and you live it in your own personal life as well. So yeah, I was really grateful for our time. Really grateful.
Anything that stood out that was...
Yes. Yeah, yes. I mean, this is the one I tell everybody, because I of course we always share when something is really great. So let me see if I can remember it now. So you looked at my history, and you went, Ryan, have you ever heard of the 3 C's? And I was like, no. You went, yeah, there's like the 3 C's. If you want to have a healthy relationship, you need 3 C's. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, pen and paper, this is it. This is what I need. And you're like, so there's compatibility, connection, and chemistry, in that order. And you've been starting with chemistry, and this is what's been going on. And it was so like a earth-shattering light bulb moment, because yes, every relationship I had started on this massive high of chemistry, and it was all passion and physical, and then of course it only ever went one way, really. And because there wasn't compatibility up front, I wasn't looking for testing, for verifying for compatibility. I was too caught up in those emotions and those physical pulls. So that was a game changer.
Yeah,
a real game
I
changer.
remember that.
Loved it. It was so obvious when it's in front of you. But wow, I mean, I definitely watched too many Disney movies. That is for sure.
As many do, yeah.
Yeah. Disney has a lot to answer for.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, but no, that was the big one.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, it's been a couple months since we finished our work together. Yeah. Tell us, where are you at now? What's the relationship status look like?
Oh, the relationship status. Well, let me build up to that answer.
Okay.
So in our work together, the practicalities and because another great practical thing you told me was about matching values, which again seems so goddamn obvious, but I'd been in relationships where we didn't have matching values. So your analogy was, it's like you're walking through the street with two, like you've got a version of the map, and she's got a version of the map, and they're not aligned. So you're constantly like this. This was my relationships. And so that was a real great golden nugget for me as well. So there was so much of that, Kelly, so much of these things that I needed practically in my brain. And at the same time of processing my ex, the last relationship, and getting clearing the space for what was next, I was also doing a lot of very deep emotional work for myself, right? So I was cleaning out all the sadness and the grief and the heartache. So I was doing a lot of like that stuff there for myself, while getting this really like clean and how could I say, much needed guidance from you about how to set myself up internally, because then I started dating, and I remember one time I had a date, and after an hour, she was a pretty girl, and at the end of the date she says to me, I feel a bit weird. And I'm like, why? And I was enjoying it. And she went, do you fancy me? And it was because I met her.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I liked the way that she looked. That is important to me, but it's not the most important anymore. So then I started like getting interested in who she was as a person. How do we talk? How do we get on? So I was like filtering for compatibility and never gave her, so I went so extreme, right? I went so far to the other extreme. So that was like, but the reason I'm sharing that is because I started approaching this whole thing so differently, like with a lot more intelligence, a lot more maturity, not just so led by those physical things that show up or don't. So there'd been a lot going on, and in the process of everything that was being revealed and concealed and released and learned, I had this really incredible moment where I realized I didn't need a relationship. And you remember I was texting you, we were in messages about this. And it was so great because my whole life I'd needed to be in a relationship because I thought that's what you should do. And there was the anxious attachment style. They can't be on their own. It's hard for them because we're not happy unless we've got somebody to attach to. So I had saw that I was like 99% happy. I'll be 100% happy when I have this relationship. And it was just like, it was mind-blowing, and it was such a story. So I let that go, and I let go of all my attachments to being in a relationship. I didn't need one. I was happy as I was. Everything was great. My life was great. And I'd never felt so free in my entire life, like so free. And then I went to bed early that night and woke up the next day, and so I was like, yeah, I deleted all the dating apps because I was back on the conscious dating apps, like, because that's what I was doing. Deleted everything, didn't need anything. And I was like, this is great. This is like a completely new reality for me. Went to a workshop the next day. This is like 24 hours. I don't need a relationship. I'm good as I am. This is great. Life is great. Everything's cool. Went to a workshop. It was an eye gazing workshop. And then I had to, we were swapping partners. And then I'd been with this guy. We eye gazed. It was really great. This other girl, eye gazed really great. And then I had eye gazed with this other girl, looked up. And I was like that. And she was like this as well. We just look. Can you feel that? And she's like, yeah. I was like, the fuck is that? It was so powerful. Like this, like when the frequencies are really, really matching, and secretly, I knew this was her.
Wow.
And it was so mind blowing for me because I'm like, I know that I've done that before in the past, but it was all fantasies. But something deeper had happened in this connection.
Yeah.
And but I didn't obviously say that because I didn't want to scare her away. And then we just sat there and enjoyed looking in each other's eyes and enjoying this connection, and we were smiling, and we could have done it for hours and hours and hours. And that was Jasmine. And then after we hung out and we enjoyed hanging out, and we said, there's something here, there's definitely something here, but let's take it slow. It's her idea to take it slow, and I'm like, yes, that's a great idea, because I know, because before it'd be like straight into bed, all those kind of things, right? Like, so we actually started hanging out as friends, which was a completely new phenomena for me, and that was also weird. It was also very triggering because I'm used to all of this crazy chemistry, but with her, everything was easy, everything was relaxed, everything was fun, everything was same map of the street. We were all of our ideas, we agreed on so many different things. And and it just felt like something that I had never had before, and that was 5 months ago. And we've been together ever since, and we have the best relationship. It's so good, and that doesn't mean it doesn't have challenges, because it does, but we work through them together. She's really open to staying and talking it through, and I'm really open to staying and talking it through, rather than anxious and avoidant, like chasing, like all of that's gone. It left my system anyway, so she feels safe because she gets space, and I feel safe because I get the care and the trust, and we've got each other's backs, we really do. And we're building this friendship that's so deep and connected, and it feels like us, like it's soul love. And this is what we've talked about that since we So it's like nothing that we've ever had. And I asked her, like when I was feeling safe enough to ask her, I said, look, when we had that first moment, like when did you, or when did you know I was for you? And she was like, in the first seconds. So we both had it, you know, and to be fair to her, like she's been so great at helping me come out of my mind if I went back in my mind about the chemistry and all the old patterns, because sometimes they still showed up. But she's really helped me come out of there and stay in the heart. And I've been helping her stay in her heart. So we've been, you know, our relationship started like in a really beautiful space, and it just gets better and better and better and better and better every day. And it's so healing. It's so healing. It's so relaxed. It's so calm. And we just have the best time.
And I love the way you say, you know, I always talk about that, is to have discussions, to share, to be vulnerable, right? And oftentimes when we have those insecurities or doubt, we don't talk about it because we're afraid. But when you're willing to go there and share with your partner and say, this is where I'm at today, this is what's going on, it opens up amazing opportunities to deepen that connection. And everyone's saying, I want that deep connection. But what does that mean if you're not willing to have discussions? Like, do you want to talk quantum physics with your partner? Because what else are you talking about?
And she's also introduced me to we started with this eye gazing, and then, you know, we've done a lot of talking because we had to talk and, you know, get to know each other. But we also just sit and we just look in each other's eyes more and more lately, because we kind of stopped doing it and then we came back to that. So it's like this connection is very, very pure. So it's great. And I'm never one to shy away from a conversation. I'm sure you'll know that. Most people that know me know that. But I've learned a different approach regarding that, you know, because there's no anxiety around it. There might just be something to talk about. Is now a good time or not? And then how do we set up that conversation? Are we just like blindsiding each other, or is this the right time? So, you know, getting better at the practicalities of just having the harmony and maintaining a nice clean space and talking about things at the right time rather than just because it came in your mind. And so there's, you know, there's so much to master about yourself in relationships, which is why I love them. Like, I've never grown more anywhere as I have when I'm seeing myself all the time, getting reflected back in all my behavior that doesn't work, and seeing myself in their behavior that doesn't work. And it's great to feel that you're in a partnership where you're both, you know, you're both wanting the best for each other, and there's not anything that gets in the way of the priority, which is that we take care of our needs and each other's needs, and we work through things. So,
lovely.
right?
Yeah. So, I mean, two huge shifts you've made, one from switching the 3 C's on their head. And, you know, we work through that. This feels so strange. I'm not used to starting a relationship in this way, to, wow, now I understand. I remember we had a call and you were just like, now I get this. This finally has landed. This is amazing. And then also moving away from that anxious attachment where everything was all about the external validation and getting that reward, and now being secure and saying, we can talk about this now, or we can talk about it in 2 days. Both are okay. I don't need to have this to settle my anxiety at this moment. And that's the beauty of going through a process like this, is you really heal that. It's not just you learn a communication technique, it's really truly gone.
You know, there's a word that comes up for us a lot, which is how safe we feel with each other. And it's great because that's not what I had in the past. Nobody was safe with these dynamics and the things that we had to learn, and they were all part of the journey. I have so much respect for everything that happened before it, because it led me to getting to this point. You know, I had to fail a whole bunch of times at this one, but I was never going to give up, you know, and I knew it was something for me to figure out and learn. But it's great to hear that we feel safe with each other, and that just changes everything. Changes everything.
Amazing. That is missing in so many relationships. They'll say everything's great, but I don't trust my partner. Right. And somehow we've been conditioned through society to think that's okay. And I say that's not okay. If you don't feel safe with your partner, you're not with the right person.
Exactly. Or you at least need to talk about why and see what you can learn. But it's a horrible feeling because you'll be in your head, you'll be seeing things that don't exist, or maybe you'll be worried about things you don't need to, and there's no harmony and there's always a problem. Or So you got to feel safe. You got to work through that for sure. And I'm glad that we have that, and we're just building it more and more and more.
Super. So I'd love to ask you from a male perspective. You know, you probably get this just from coaching in general. There's a lot of men out there who can probably relate to your story, but there's something holding them back from actually reaching out and getting the support that they need to change their life. So, you know, for the men specifically, do you have any suggestions how they could overcome that blockage?
Yeah. Look, it's so tough, this thing for men asking for help, men admitting their weakness, men admitting they don't have it all figured out. You know, so many of them have been conditioned that we've got to be the strong ones, and you're not supposed to show your feelings and be a man and all the rest of it. And it's all bullshit. You know, it's all bullshit. We're human beings, and we are also sensitive. We're also you know, deep underneath the guard and all the things that we built around us so that we, you know, appear to be a certain way. You cut us open, we're just as sensitive as the next person if we allow ourselves to feel it. So it's about going beyond the mind that tells you that you're going to be weak if you ask for help. For me, it couldn't be more opposite. You know, one of my biggest strengths is I will admit when I don't have the answers. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'll admit when I need help, because then I can get help, and then I get help that makes a difference, and then, you know, off we go, getting more of what we want in life, because we need help. You know, help's great. Help's one of the best things that you can have, actually, to support you work through different things. So yeah, if there's a guy or any guys watching this and they feel like relationships is a part of their life, that it's just not working, something is going on, then I would recommend that you definitely reach out, and that you definitely get the kind of support that's going to make a difference, because you deserve that, and there's no shame in that. And that's if you are feeling concerned about it, that would just be one of the reasons why you should. You know, because you don't need to be concerned about reaching out and asking for help. And you know what, if you want to be seen as intelligent, then this is a very intelligent thing to do.
Yeah. And I find a lot of the men that I have worked with, they ask, you know, how do I maintain my masculinity while learning how to have deep discussions and to be vulnerable, because I want that in my relationship, but nobody ever showed me how to do that. I didn't learn that from my dad or whatever. And this is a chance to learn those skills, because when you can have that kind of relationship, it creates fulfillment in your life. And that's what everybody, men and women, are looking for at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. Look, you know, we're evolving, humanity's evolving, and our mum and dads did the best that they could, and for most of us, it wasn't that great. You know, they didn't they weren't shown love in certain ways. Some of them got told they shouldn't feel anything and don't say anything and keep yourself to yourself, like, you know, like, because they didn't get all the help they needed when they were kids, but they got the best that their parents got, and it's getting better and better and better. But you know, our generation, the ones here right now, we can be the ones that cut that pattern so that our kids can get taught the things that we're learning that we never got taught from our parents. And there's nothing wrong with any of this. It's just evolution.
It is. Yeah. And I always, you know, say to people, especially because I work with a lot of divorced singles who have children, this is your opportunity to give this gift to your children, to show them what it means to have that healthy relationship and to build something. I think it's such an opportunity for children to observe their parents falling in love and actually building something healthy. So great. So who would you recommend? You know, we talked about men, but just in general, who would you recommend this type of coaching to?
Yeah, well, I've been recommending it to basically anybody that I talk to that's single or that continues to not be in a happy place regarding their relationships. Because if this is a part of your life that clearly isn't working, then there's something to learn. And you know, there's two ways to learn. There's through your own trial and error and figuring things out, and that's great. But a much more efficient way to learn is from people that have figured it out and they know the answers. They can help people find out what's going on. And so combination of both is the best way. So I think anybody that wants to figure out what's going on that's having you not have the relationship that you want, if you figure out what's going on and you deal with that, then you'll have eventually the relationship that you want. That's how it works.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. Any last thoughts, any comments you'd still like to share? I appreciate you sharing all your insights.
Yeah. I think just thank you. You know, it was definitely the kind of help I really, really needed that I never had. And I'm glad that, you know, and also thank you for Max, who suggested having the call, right? And it's, again, all of this is a function of just being open and sharing. And again, a lot of people don't do that. So you know, I'm grateful that I was open and sharing. I'm grateful that Max suggested talk to you, and I'm really grateful for our time together and the things I learned, the practicalities. I mean, I can't tell you how important they were for me, and because I'd never been shown them. I didn't know, and no amount of reading a book, watching videos, like none of that cuts deep. You know, it's the time together. And, you know, you had a great process as well. It was very, very well thought through. And it was very, it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't too much. It was a really, really good amount. So yeah, thank you, Kelly.
Oh,
I really appreciate it. Yeah, this was the most important part of my life that for me needed, I wanted it to be a completely different fucking way. And I wanted that for a long time. And, you know, through your help, I'm happy to say that, you know, my relationship life is very, very different. And I'm really enjoying it and really relaxed about it, which is a new phenomena for me.
Brilliant. Oh, I'm so happy. I want to thank you, I mean, for trusting. Like I said, it was an honor for me that you reached out to me and considered working with me. It was fantastic spending all that time with you and really getting to know you. And I'm so happy for you and Jasmine that you met, and the relationship that the two of you are building sounds wonderful. And that's why I do this. I want everyone to be able to experience that. I know it's possible. Yeah. And when you're willing to put in the work, you get these kind of results. So yeah.
There's maybe one more thing I'd like to add, actually,
sure.
Sharon, because one of the things that you said to me, you said, Ryan, when you're in a relationship that's like the kind of one that you want to be in, the healthy long one, it might feel a bit weird at times because it's not this high and low thing that you're used to. And that was like, okay, does that mean it's going to be boring? Or, you know, like what does that mean? Because I'd never had that before. But by you sharing that with me, it really helped me navigate things with Jasmine, because at the start I was, my brain couldn't help but be like, but it feels really different. But the difference was that this is healthy, this is good, this is what works, this is what I want, actually. And it was hard for me to see that so clearly because of all of the conditioning and the Disney movies and all this stuff. So that was a bit of an anchor for me, that, you know, she was really anchoring for me, for sure. She had to really hold a lot of space. I was like, oh, but I always remember, like, yeah, this is what Kelly said it would be. It would feel like this, you know. It would be more of a slow burn rather than a boom, you know, which was what everything was before. So yeah, that I just also want to underline that, because that was really, really helpful for me.
Yeah. Really, with an anxious attachment, we often associate anxiety as feelings of love. But they're not. And it's very difficult to sustain that level of anxiety over time and survive. So yeah,
exactly. I think we've put more years on my life now, so I'm also happy about that.
Definitely. Well, again, thank you so much, Ryan. I appreciate you sharing this. It's wonderful. And I hope that you will inspire somebody else with your story to reach out and get the support that they need and be able to create an extraordinary relationship. So thank you.
Yeah, they should do that. Thank you, Kelly. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Take care.